Shut up and sit down.
Hey everybody, it's Cliff Taylor, and I'm here to poke the bear today, and this is our second part of Poking the Bear with the media, and this one is on agenda setting by the media, and of course by social media platforms. Okay, well, what is this? Well, listen up. Alright, agenda setting is the idea that what the public thinks about is set by the media. The agenda setting theory was first introduced back in 1972 by Dr. Maxwell McComb and Dr. Donald Shaw. Their theory stated that the news plays an integral part of the shaping of political realities. The amount of time that the news spends on a single issue and the information relayed in a news story, along with the story's position, determines how much a reader learns and the amount of importance that they place on that. The agenda-setting theory of McCombs and Shaw states that when the media reflects on the views of a candidate during a campaign, they are also shaping and determining the issues of importance for said campaign. This, they say, ultimately can force an agenda on a political campaign. And as social media has become really prevalent, we can see that these same principles play out in the trending lists and getting ratioed and the like. One of the other things is that in the research they showed that if a news article was on the front page of a newspaper, it was given a lot more importance and credibility, and if it was also that if it was mentioned in the first 5 minutes of a news broadcast. Now, of course, this is 1972, and news has changed dramatically since then. But some historical examples of agenda setting by the media include the 1972 break-in of the DNC, published by the Washington Post, which cascaded, of course, into the Watergate crisis and eventually the resignation of the then sitting president, Richard Nixon. Fast forwarding up to the 24-hour news cycle, which did not exist until 1991, January of 1991 to be precise. The 24-hour news cycle started with the invasion of Iraq. Or sorry, it wasn't even the invasion. It was the air campaign against Iraq by the United States military during the first Gulf War conflict. Following a few years later, CNN having that 24 hours news cycle. In 1993, their coverage of the Waco standoff between the government and the Branch Davidians, their constant coverage of that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Every time you turned on the news, it was something that had to do with that. There was shots and different shots and different experts and all the stuff they were talking to. Janet Reno all the time. They say that investigations have shown that the public pressure that was created by the media coverage resulted in the Clinton administration and especially Janet Reno feeling an overwhelming pressure to get it closed, get it done, do something. Of course, that led to the final conflict, that final assault, which led to the majority of the deaths within the compound. Now, they used to. There was at times they believed that the fires were caused by the ATF fire and the FBI firing tear gas. It later came out, and the news reported that as well widely until it was finally they were finally cleared of that in around 1999-2000, when it became very clear that the fires were started in 3 different locations and they were started by the Branch Davidians themselves. Now, in 1997, a few years later, we had the Drudge Report started reporting on that the Washington Post was sitting on a story that that had to do with impropriety by then President Clinton. Of course, this was the Monica Lewinsky affair, and that eventually led to the impeachment of President Clinton. And many experts have stated that that scandal and the attention brought to the public by the media's agenda of figuring out what was going on, or wanting to have something spicy to put on the news, is the leading contributing factor, or the leading factor to Al Gore's loss in the 2000 presidential race against George Bush. Now, agenda setting itself is not bad. Many important things, of course, have come to light because of this practice, but with the current race to be first in media today, online, and the echo chambers that social media platforms create, this has created what we can see as what is being lauded as a religious type devotion to being first, and facts don't matter. This led to things like the Nicholas Sandmann fiasco, and of course the Russian collusion fiasco that was really pushed. Or the Russian collusion, of course, was pushed by Rachel Maddow every night that she was on TV for a year and a half, almost 2 years. Even when the report came out and there was no evidence of any collusion between the Trump administration, or the Trump campaign, and Russians, they still pushed that Russia was helping Trump, and that Trump was using Russia to help himself. And even though it's been disproven, even today, actually, we'll go back to January and February of 2020. Adam Schiff on the Senate floor said that Trump cheated with Russia in 2016, and that if he wasn't stopped, he was going to continue to cheat with Russia in 2020. And so that's not a media-driven agenda setting stuff. That's definitely political party agenda setting, wanting to create a false sense of mistrust in the Trump administration by saying, oh well, he did it before and he's going to do it again, even though all the evidence says that he didn't do it. And this is coming from somebody who doesn't like Trump. So now with messaging on these things, it's really interesting that the idea that the media can affect how people think. We look at different ways in which as we mentioned before, framing is one of the tools that they do in creating this agenda setting. Is they create these their agenda is set, and then they use things like framing and bias coverage and stuff to facilitate the furtherment of their agenda, which their agenda really is not. The media's agenda for a really long time was to get information out to the people, and you could really see that the local newspaper, that's where everybody got their news for a long time. And then you had in the muckraking stuff that happened at the turn of the 19th to 20th centuries. You had the muckraking and the competitions between large metropolitan area newspapers. Extra read all about it, and falsely framing things and false reporting and sensationalization are all things that pushed agendas by the media. And as the advent of radio and television has just increased these ideas of agenda of making money. The agenda is to make the end all be all goal is to make money, and that's a weakness in our system of media coverage. Is this prize of what the money is? Research into these theories has largely been inconclusive, mainly because when you study one event and you can see that there is an absolute media agenda that swayed the public opinion, you can pick another event where the media tried to do the same thing and it didn't sway public opinion, and so you can't say that it always happens, and the media isn't always successful doing this. But like Michael Jordan said, you miss every shot you didn't take. And so the media just takes, the media today, especially social media and online media platforms, they take every shot. They take the slightest little hint of something and then they run with it like it's gospel. The worldwide influence of the internet and social media, where you can find the news from any angle, from any perspective that you want, without being constrained. These media platforms and these social media platforms and these, sorry, let me take that back. These media entities do not rely on sources anymore. Some do, and there are really good journalists out there, but there are so many that are not good. They report. They find somebody that says, "Hey, I saw Donald Trump kick a puppy," and then they tweet Donald Trump. Our source says Donald Trump kicked a puppy, and then another person on social media sees that and says it was reported by so and so that Donald Trump kicked a puppy, and then it was reported that Donald Trump is abusing animals. It's that snowball effect of the echo chamber is making it harder to convince others that mass media is to be trusted, because of the agenda of making money being so important. If you look at Vice and look at BuzzFeed and you look at these online media platforms, they are all about the clicks. People like I forgot his name now. Tim Pool. He talks about when he was working for these companies that he was told, follow the story that's going to make the most money, not follow the story for the truth. And he says that's why he left and became a YouTuber instead. But yeah, you can go check out Tim Pool. He has very interesting takes on things, but like I said before, when it comes to framing, make sure that you watch his material and look at the framing, and then make the decision yourself. Do your own research. David Pakman's another one who I think really doesn't like the idea of clickbaity media. Again, his stuff is very framed from a very specific direction, and so you really have to digest his material by looking at it through the lens of how is this framed. But all right, that's about all I'm going to cover on this today. So I will see you guys next time. Be good to each other. Bye.